You have a really hard time doing anything to someone here, and he's got a really easy time bringing things back in between us. So if we build some framework here, this is, I don't want to say this is like, oh, it's so conceptual or something of that sort. There's going to be clear detail to this, and then there's going to be concepts that go along with it. The goal of today's class is to get you to possibly use a different style of passing when you see it fit to help you control people a little easier. For me, I'm in my early 40s, got flat feet, bow legs, my hips are front, not wildly strong other than perhaps my upper body from lifting weights. But I found that being able to break things down in a sequence has been very easy for my brain, no matter how taxed I am, no matter how tired I am. If I can follow some sense of organization and then allow variation, it's better for me. So instead of simply trying to pass the legs in some open-ended way and then look for a pin, today we're going to go over getting the pin before we pass the legs completely. So just some frames of reference here. My goal when I'm getting by the legs, we don't talk about them necessarily as a whole. He has feet that can push me. He has shins that can push me. He has knees that can push me. There's nothing else on his legs that can push me away. He has hands, forearms, and elbows in his upper body that can push me. And you could probably argue maybe a little bit of his head can push me. Other than that, there's nothing else he can do to push me. So if you take that framework and you recognize that if I was to hold set down and say, how do you get up? How do you stop me from holding you down? He can either push me away or he can just try to elevate his height. So if I'm over the top of him and I don't have any of his pushing tools in between us, then there's not much he can do to stop me from holding him down. We're not in much of a fight whatsoever. A lot of you guys have probably experienced this in something like a smashed half guard, where we just have him hugging over my back due to inexperience or something of that sort. And we end up here, and you probably feel phenomenal here. I found your way over to mount or found some way to get that leg free by the end of it. Oh man, I really like that. Or on the bottom, every time you get smashed, say, I don't really like that. We're going to build into this today with some intelligence. I'm going to try to give you a tool set that likely is a little bit new. They're going to look similar to each other, but I really want to emphasize leaning into the detail here. This stuff was super helpful for me when I actually paid attention instead of just going, yeah, I kind of know something that looks like that. We're going to skip a couple steps because Friday's class is going to be on that step. So let's get into it. The first step, whether I'm standing, whether we're kneeling, whether we're in any situation, I'm passing from half guard today. So my intent is to force half guard, which is a really weird discussion, right? Because typically when you're on your feet, you say, get by those legs. Don't let them entangle you. I'm making an argument for the opposite. So it could be as simple as stepping in. It might be something a little more detailed, so where I bring them down here and then step back into half guard, which would feel wrong. 5 years ago, Ryan would have told you this was wrong. I really found this challenging to learn at first, and this has really shaped my game to where I'm at today. Take a look at, if my knee drops in front of his knee, which pushing tools are left from his legs here? There's literally nothing left to push me away other than his arms. So I'm already by the largest pushing tools in the human body by simply getting into this position. Of course, most of you are familiar with a knee shield. This is what Friday's class is. We're just going to spam a bunch of different ways to get by this obnoxious tool. I think, let's see, the high-level players in this sport don't realize how troublesome this is for the majority of average humans, and they just go, just get by that thing, just get through the knee shield. But over and over and over again, as I travel or visit friends' gyms, this is the number one issue. So we're going to do a whole class on Friday of just spamming. Here's an option, try that. Here's an option, try that. Here's another idea, try that. And we'll build it into small families. But for that purpose, I'm forcing half guard, getting by the knees. We're going to pretend he doesn't know knee shield for right now. From this position, we basically have access to get chest to chest. That's where I'm trying to get is some sense of, can I get my chest on top of his chest? You're noticing he's already intelligently putting his arms in place. I'm going to have to find ways to mitigate that, to get rid of these pushing tools so that I have direct chest-to-chest contact with him. We're going to get more into that as we go. For now, we're just going to build some group of useful nomenclature, useful tools. So as we're here, everybody's familiar with this position if you've been rolling for a bit, this head and arm control. I have a cross face, I have underhook. I think most people believe this underhook matters on its own. Not a lot of people paying attention here. As you get a little better at jiu-jitsu, the crossface starts to become really relevant to controlling people. We're going to start with a simple idea that I'm going to use the crossface without the underhook for a moment. So I'm building a system to where I don't need my hands closed. I'm actually going to operate with my hands open, which is going to give me more ability to mitigate his pushing tools and help me get by that one last leg that's stuck inside. So we're here. I'm keeping this far shoulder on the floor in some sense. This hand doesn't do much here. Turn your head towards me. This way, this way. The value of the crossface is to stop him from looking at it. So most people learn how to do something, turn your head up, like this. And they just kind of drive the shoulder. It's a little bit uncomfortable. We're going to break off in a minute here and just for a few times to do this. We don't want to crank each other's necks off. I'm using my underhook to lift up. I'm putting my fingers into his armpit, and I'm going to pull my elbow back towards my hip. This is massively pushing his head in the wrong direction. Turn your head now. There's just no way for him to turn, but take a look. This hand is free to do whatever it needs to. So because I'm anchoring my fingers into the back of the armpit, this isn't nuanced, it's specific. You grab the armpit, pull your elbow back towards your hip, and you're going to crank that pressure up times 10. We're here. I've got him flat. I can use this to lift. Some of you won't need to with your arm length or depending on how wide his shoulders are, but bringing this arm to me may help assist. I want my fingers in the armpit, and I bring my elbow back. From here, I'm going to put my forehead on the floor and turn it up even more. Sorry. This is terrible. You can likely choke someone out here if your shoulder's in the right place. That's kind of the goal as we break off. Get to a point where they may want to tap. Just make sure you're not doing it into the teeth or, showing respect to each other. Flat, fingers in. If you can't reach, elevate up for a moment. Fingers in, and the elbow is coming back towards my hip. My head is going over, forehead down to the floor, and I'm going to ask Seth, move left, move right. Because I'm pinning his shoulders so well, the mobility of his body is extremely limited. I like that idea that I don't need to move fast or I need him to move slower. It's a tortoise and the hare discussion from the childhood books that I'm simply going to continue my game at a slow and steady pace. I'm not racing him anywhere. I'll probably lose to most of you guys in a foot race. I'm not wildly fast. This style of passing doesn't require it. So if you want to, you can start working your legs out. If you have some idea to do that, we're going to go over some tools in a minute, but feel free to connect to that. Just grab a partner. No hands inside for this time. We're flat. I lift 4 fingers into the armpit if possible. And as I come back, that elbow goes towards my hip. My head comes here, and I bear weight into the head, and my knees are off the floor. Go ahead and move. You're likely going to find similar responses. Of course, when we're playing at a higher level, he's not going to be so foolish. But play around. When you're on the bottom, think about, what would I do here? It's likely going to start be pushing tools, hips, trying to get hands back in front. But let's give it a shot. Ready? So let's add a layer to this. Without getting too far away from that same principle, where I have a cross face, that's helping me flatten him out. You notice his shoulder line, we're getting pinned to the floor, so he has no ability to rotate well. That's exactly what I'm looking for. But we can do it in the opposite direction as well. So if I wanted to set up a good head block, we have to understand what the head block's doing. It's a replacement for the cross face. So if the cross face in your brain is just some space holder to touch the head, you're not quite getting the concept out of it, right? As you see when we pull this down, it's actually preventing him from looking at me, which means he can't roll towards me. If he can't look this way, his shoulders can't follow. So I'm keeping this shoulder down by turning his head towards it. I can do the same thing with a head block. I'm going to do a light version of it here. But as we bring our head to this side, I like to say the passing side, though sometimes we mount over the top. As I bring my head to the near side, I'm going ear to ear, forehead on the floor. Our brain wants to do something like this or very light. Take your head and turn it to me. You notice he can look at me? I'm not doing it right. I'm going to push my ear into his ear, and I'm going to pull this underhook up as well. I'm cinching his head and his shoulder together by pushing my head, not just his face, pushing his whole skull towards the underhook and pushing the underhook towards the head. So I'm here, and this is good, but we're going to ramp it up once more. So I'm here, just like how I use this to lift and grab here, I'm going to do the same, opposite. I lift and I grab this trap. I've got fingers into the trap here. I put my head block in place, bring my weight up onto my feet. I elevate that underhook, and Seth is not feeling good. This is going to be really easy for me to start passing, but it's very hard. Go ahead and just move. There's not much for him here. I really want to emphasize, if you're not getting fingers here, you're not going to get the full pressure. I'm not saying you need this. I'm saying this is better. you're gonna get a massive amount of pressure here. So just like this is bothersome and this cranks it up, this is bothersome, this cranks it up. I'm pushing his head back towards the arm, lifting the arm towards the head, squeezing the shoulder towards the jaw. Any questions? Let's give it a shot. Ready? We're just going to venture into it a little bit. This first one, I like to call the thinking man. It's just an easy way to reference this. As I'm here, his hands are pushing. I'm going to come in inside bicep top. So as I'm trying to drift my chest over the top of his, a pretty good pushing tool here. This one as well. We'll get into this in a moment. I'm going to try to push him down. Just give me resistance here. Not easy for me to beat this tool. He's got a pretty good resistance to it. So as we drift over here, I'm going to put my hand to my forehead and drive my elbow to the floor. As we're here, and then reach in and flare the elbow. From this position now, if I let go, his hand goes right back. So I've got to lower my ear and almost pummel through here. Like, hey, you really want to hug me, don't you? Make him give you a hug. Make sure this ear is staying close to your shoulder so he doesn't swim back through here. I'm going to show you how it's done wrong so that you can see it. So we're here. I go thinking man, elbow to the floor. Connect my fingers, flare the elbow. Make him give me a hug, and he goes right back inside. So this time I'll do the same thing, except I'm going to close my ear. So we're here, inside pummel, elbow to the floor. S grip, flare the elbow. Pummel, ear stays down, shoulder stays close to the ear. He can't get back in. I have my underhook. Maybe I go here. Maybe I go here. You tell me. But it's no longer pushing. If the only thing a human can do to stop me from pinning him is push me away or stand up, he can't do either. We're doing this well. Any questions? Rotate it. Make a good arm frame. And finally with his chest to chest. Go here. As we get here, I go S grip, flare my elbow. Head pummels through, and the ear stays low. Try to pummel that hand back in. I want you guys to test each other. Try to break it. As we get here, now it's my turn. Cool? Let's give it a shot. Ready? So we're really fighting for inside elbow position here on the bottom. That could be probably a whole nother class on just how to fight this lower arm and how to get near side underhooks. We'll have a little bit of that today if we find time. But in general, as I'm pushing in, I like to clear this one before we can get to this one. This creates a lot of issues. I can't get to a crossface, right? So as we're fighting in, I'm making sure his knees can't come back in place. He's pushing here. I'm going to bring this down towards my hip. He's going to follow. As he follows back, I use this more often than most. We're just fighting for inside control here. Go ahead and push me with the bottom hand. He can't push me if I'm inside. If he's inside, he can push all day. So getting in here is not going to be easy as he monitors with his elbow. So as I bring it back and bring it out, we can find space to get in here. There's also plenty of stuff I can do where we start coming here. I don't think that's for everybody. And again, we could go way down the line of all of these areas and go over many different variations and options for each individual. I just want to give some context that we force half guard, got by the legs as pushing tools. We're starting to learn that we need to get by these as pushing tools. That thinking man's super helpful here, but whatever works. It doesn't need to look exactly like this. The concept is getting these shoulders pinned to the floor, specifically the top shoulder. I want that on the floor at all times. He can't move well if his shoulders are on the floor. I like to say it's like a bad weightlifting position. So if I was to add this together, I'm trying to bear weight over him. I'm pummeling, fighting high. There we go. I'm inside. I can access his head now. Look at where his legs are pointed compared to where his shoulders are pointed. If he was to try to deadlift in that position, he'd probably blow his back out. What if I were to make it even worse? His knees are pointing to his right. His face is pointing to his left. He's going to end up in the hospital if he were to try to bear weight on his shoulders in a normal, conventional, like Olympic-style lift. I'm twisting somebody or contorting somebody so they don't have spinal alignment. Without some type of direct alignment, he's going to have a hard time pushing appropriately. His shoulders, his hips, his knees should all be in a straight line to be strong. This is why when you're on bottom half guard, you want the shoulder off the floor so they can point where the knees are pointing, build some sense of alignment for strength. I'm trying to misalign him all over the place as often as I can to make him weaker than me, to make him less mobile than me. So not only am I using misalignment, I'm using the floor to hold him down. He can't move through the floor, which means he can't rotate in certain directions, and I'm going to amplify that by my grip. So we're here by the legs. I force half guard. His knees are out of the way for now. We're fighting here, inside. That's going to allow me to get inside. As we come here, S grip, flare, pummel through, and I make sure my ear's low. If I want to, I can go to the 4 fingers, bring my head up. One of the bigger issues you're going to find at a high level, for the newer people, this is going to feel like it doesn't matter. But my knee on the floor here is a huge issue for him bringing a knee lever this way. It's a major tool to off-balance me in a way that, if you're newer at jiu-jitsu, that's probably not happening a ton for you. If you're more experienced, you're probably wondering, how do we fix this guy from bringing me here all the time? We're going to lift this knee off the ground just an inch or so. Watch. If I'm on my knees and he gives me some type of knee lever, he brings me here. If we do the same exact thing, but I lift my knee up just an inch, it doesn't do anything. So if I can set up my half guard top to have that knee off the floor at all times, then I can start answering questions before they're asked. So as we start to put this together, I find some way to enter half guard, get past the knees. As soon as I get past the knees, I'm mitigating these pushing tools so I can get to chest, and I need to make sure my knee's off the ground. So right now, regardless of which grips you take, I'm going to recommend you take a crossface with the far armpit like we went over first. I want your knees off the floor, balls of the feet on the floor, legs scissoring, so my left knee is pushing forward while my right knee is pulling back, and I have a free hand. Go ahead and move a bit. I'm going to see it becomes very easy to start seeing ways to clear. I've got a free tool because my pin's done so well with my head, with my arm. He can't knee lever me because my knee's not on the floor. He can't get this pushing tool back in place because my outside knee is nice and close. And he's bearing my weight the whole time. So we're here. I don't even mind if he has this in this position. This is okay a bit. Go ahead and move. So if he's not under me, it's not this, we're here. It's really awkward at first. You're going to point your knees backwards, sag your hip forward, whichever cue makes the most sense to you, that's absolutely fine. But the balls of your feet on the floor, legs slightly scissoring, so you're giving a strong pinch to that bottom leg, not in the intent to squeeze it, but to not let it back up in front. And then we're just getting back into shoulder line control. We're here, sit in, and I don't care what style pass. You don't even have to pass yet. We'll get into that in a minute. What do you got?
Would you mind showing you to give him a turn completely the other way?
Yeah. Let's do it maybe this way. So somehow I'm forcing half guard. I might even let him think he did it himself. We're here. He's giving me decent connection, not always pushing. I get inside. He's feeling this weight of me and all the food I've been eating. Right to the jaw. I have a free hand. I'm going to put the forehead down in this position. But I have a free hand. Does that make sense? Let's give it a shot, ready? Almost every escape relies on some amount of rotation or pushing. So if we remove pushing tools, glue them to the floor so they can't rotate, what's really left? I mean, I think that the clear answer is I have one leg still in the guard. So we're just going to work to clear it. I don't want to see you pass the guard all the way up. And there's a reason for this. I'm not saying you can't pass the guard. I'm saying for the purpose of understanding what we're going through, we're not going to clear the ankle. You're just bringing the knee through, and we're going to use the knee to start caging the hips so that I continue to consolidate the pass with complete control. There's points here, if I just pass all the way through, his hips are so free, he may be able to create some mobility or rotation or pushing tools coming back between us. I'm slowing this whole thing down so that there's not many options for him. He's going to have to move extremely precisely to even challenge me in this. So pay attention to what we're doing with the knees here. As I'm in this position, I can bring my head over if you like. What I want to make sure is he's unable to push me in any fashion. So this knee is going to be free to come inside this knee. So we're here, my elbow goes in and free. We'll rotate. We're here, I'm grabbing, head posted. This hand is free. Knee elbow connection, hand pushing the thigh, bringing the elbow inside and prying it. I don't care. Do what you like. If I'm finding that's not an option, and he's really keeping his knees pointed towards me, then I have every ability to switch here, bring my butt up, and my knee comes through here. You start to see this is a variation of the same thing, left or right. I don't care which hip you go to. There's a clear argument to getting the mounts better than side control. I would agree that sometimes side control is what's available, and we'll, if we have the time, work towards side control and putting the knee over. But in this case, I want you to get your knee clear of the guard and connect to a hip. Knee on the floor, one side or the other, and then we'll start dragging them out. So you figure out what that means for you, which way his legs are pointing. Let's experiment. Which grip will be helpful? Is it this? Is it this? You tell me which one's going to make sense for where you're going. And if they're able to push you off, or you're not able to hold them down, then something's missing. Try to troubleshoot what that is. I can help out as well. But as we move to this shoulder line pin, my hips are off the floor. I can walk his knees and get my knee to the floor, but I'm keeping the knee to the hip. I'm not passing a foot. If it goes the other direction, I'm lifting, head lock, pushing his head back toward the arm. I'll keep his knees this way. Knee stays on the hip. Let's rotate. Just rotate. I can't lose it. What you're seeing without my body in the way, this knee is not here. I'm not trying to do this. I'm staying right at the hip with the intent of having that help me pin on the hip. Try to move. It's not easy. So playing around with that idea, some type of shoulder line pin, lifting your butt, creating an angle, one way or the other. Your brain should start to naturally correlate. This grip doesn't seem to go that way. I need to move here. I don't think it needs to be taught. You'll figure it out pretty quickly. But we're trying to get a knee to a hip. Really simple cue. Let's give it a shot. Ready? We're running out of time here, but I think the ideas are coming across. If we can hold his shoulder forwards, I can start to elevate my hips. I'm mitigating any of the large potentials, right? The knee's off the floor, so you can't knee lever me that way. A couple questions I got were about this outside leg. I'm doing my best to monitor his bottom leg. This is actually worth discussing for a moment. That as I'm up, let's say I'm here. If I lift and I don't monitor that leg, his knee comes up, and he either reguards or at a minimum builds some knee into my hip pushing tool to really create issues. So it's not to say I can't pass there. You know, maybe something like this would work. But you're allowing him better tools to play. My whole intent here is to take away all of his play tools so that he's just a cube of meat getting stuck to the floor. And I want to get rid of all the levers that can push, especially the legs. So as you start to have issues with these passes, you can ask a much more clean question. What do I do when the bottom shin, the top knee? You start to have very clear ideas of what your issue is, and you can have very clean resolutions and multiple options of how to resolve that particular issue instead of, I don't really like this style of passing because I don't know what's happening. You know, as you break it into pieces, you can actually just troubleshoot the exact issue. And when you troubleshoot something, logically you start at the beginning until something's broken and find out it's here, or you start at the end and go back till it's fixed. And the issue's somewhere here, or maybe you start somewhere in the middle and just say, is it working or not? ham sandwich your way around. But I would highly suggest you just start from the beginning, step by step, as you find issues, resolve the issue, keep moving forward in your training. Over time, this is going to work at 75, 85 years old if you're still training. This isn't reliant on much more than pressure, eliminating his ability to push me away, and then simple angle cuts. Let's get into one I really like. As we get closer to the end of class, we really could probably do a 3-part class on all the little details, but I just wanted to get the broad idea here that we force half guard, I get by the legs. Enter chest to chest by eliminating pushing tools. Find some type of controlling leverage to get both shoulders stuck to the floor, specifically the top one. That's the one that comes up to face me to give him good alignment, strong power for pushing tools. I need to flatten him out. Once he's flat, I then work towards flattening the hips in some fashion or pinning the hips. And we don't just dive forward so that strong people buck us up. We take it slowly, knee first, then we extract the ankle when we're ready. This one right here I really like. I'm in half, I'm smashed here, he's flat. I've got my hips sagged a bit. I lift. I go for the head block, and I start walking his knees this way. That way the angle is going to be easier. If I need to, I can pummel inside the knee now. If his knees are straight up, it's going to be hard to pummel in. But by walking myself this way, his knee is lower, much easier to access. My knee comes through. As I get the knee in that hip pocket, I don't finish the pass. A lot of you guys have probably felt this, where when we pass, somebody like Seth, he goes, that's a good idea, goes to skate. More commonly, go back and just bring a knee in. He just closes that space with his own pushing tool. This is exactly what I'm talking about. How do I stop him from getting pushing tools back between us? The answer is often maintaining a pin and closing space. So if we're here, and I've got to this position, I'm going to go back to a closed hand and drag him away until he doesn't mind. From here, switch, and I'm contorting his body in a way that not comes through. The only detail I'm paying attention to, the knee stays close to the hip, and when I'm ready to take him out, my outside leg will get close to him to stop the pushing pull. This thing hurts, so do it slowly to each other. I'm dragging his spine in a way that he's not thankful for. So, force half. Got by those pushing pulls. Shoulders to the floor. Knees off the floor, sagging forward, scissoring the leg, starting to work towards maybe a knee cut. As we go, I'm stretching him out. Here, head's coming one leg. His knees are coming together. Drawing into the floor. Maybe I go forward the armpit, forehead to the floor. Outside leg comes close, pinning knee goes across. Clearing the foot, hold that foot. At any point, just use your secondary foot. I don't think you need too much information how to use your free leg to help pry a foot free. That's the biggest issue. We can resolve that pretty quickly. Let's try this real quick. Any questions? Let's give it a shot. Ready? And I'm up here, for instance. His hands are going to be in my hips. If I make a good pass to mount here, he's just going to pop my hip and send me over. So by knowing he's going to the hip, sometimes this is better. Now, I don't care, because his hips are getting flattened by adding the extra step. If you're not finding that issue, go right to mount. But realize that if those hand posts to the hips are blowing you off mount, slow down the passing of the legs and consolidate the hips as flat as we had the shoulders, and you're going to find that his mobility doesn't really matter anymore. Cool? Yeah. Like I said, feel free to hit me up after. There's loads more information here, but that's my best shot at trying to fit into 1 hour, which is much more. But a general idea, if we get to a shoulder line pin before we pass the legs, passing the legs becomes much easier, slower, and methodical, instead of just trying to blast by and hopefully find a pin later. Thank you guys for coming. If we get a quick photo, that'd be awesome.